Good morning and welcome to the Rewind Show, Bacup Borough Football Club's social media platforms. The second one of the week. Yeah, a double bubble this week. Of course, we were in action midweek on Tuesday evening in the Lancashire Challenge Trophy against West Didsbury Chorlton. Got a big game at the weekend in the FA Vase against Wythenshawe Town. That is at the Brian Boys Stadium. We'll be talking about that as well. And at the sports bar, let me get this right. Hey, got it right. It's Brent Peters. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
It's all right. You've just had a quick land, have you, from the other side of the universe? Doing live commentary last night. I don't know how that works, me.
Right. Well, how that works is years and years of experience of working with technology and working with people who know what they're doing on the other side of the world. So, yeah, teaming up with people in Gibraltar, in Spain, South America, and in Abe.
That's good, isn't it?
Together like a jigsaw.
Can they understand your Lancashire lingo, or do you just turn in and throw your languages in?
I have when you've been in broadcasting as long as me, you get a radio voice.
Oh, is that what it is?
I know what you're like. You know when you have a telephone voice, and if other people have telephone voices, depends who you're talking to, Brent. If you're talking to insurance man, then you're giving him hell. If you're talking to Mrs., it's a little bit more kind of diluted.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it was good. But what have you been up to, mate? I know you've been well. You're always busy. There's always something going on down at the club.
Well, it's like when there's games, and especially when you've got midweek games. I mean, you think about it. Your game finishes on Saturday. You kind of so the game finished Saturday. You go home and kind of get collect your thoughts on Saturday's game, and then you wake up Sunday morning and you're back in the club because all the youth teams are playing. So I've got to get the facilities ready for the youth teams coming in and playing. Well, that's if they're at home. But the last couple of weeks, 2 out of 3 of the teams have been at home on a Sunday. So that's another job in itself. So I've got to be up here, sorting that out. And then we had a game on Tuesday, so in the Lancashire FA Challenge Cup. So, you're preparing for that. You're in dialogue with your players on the Monday, making sure that just getting an update on their injury situation, just finding out where we're up to, and then you've got to put your squad out on a Monday night, ready for the game on a Tuesday. And when you're at home, you've got all the rigmarole that people don't see. That when they come to games, everything that in preparation to put a game on. Like going to the cash and carry, getting all the catering, like you do with the programs, preparing the programs. We had an issue because we've changed over for service provider from the trusted BT. We've gone to Rydal Communications, so that's all been changed over. So to make sure all the kind of internet and everything was working well. Yeah. And then just making sure the pitch, the changing rooms, cleaning all the changing rooms, getting ready, cleaning around the ground, getting ready for the game on Tuesday. And then when you've had the game on Tuesday, you get home late Tuesday night. Then you're collecting your thoughts on that game, and then on the Wednesday, you're then getting all the kits back over for washing. So your kits and everything are coming back over for washing ahead of your next games. You've got to clean all the changing room, but I've got to say that my job was made a little bit easier on that front with West Didsbury and Chorlton, because they cleaned their visiting changing room impeccably. So that saved me a job, and I'd like to thank them for that.
A classy team, that's what they are, a classy team.
Yeah. So it were. I was grateful because it is, and then you've got to, when you've had however many spectators you had around the ground, you've got to tidy up again behind them. You can never have enough bins around the ground, and depending on what team you play against, you have to be careful, because I've seen it in the past here where visiting spectators have thrown a bin up pitch when they haven't been happy about certain refereeing decisions. That's happened before now. So, yeah. So, listen, variety is the spice of life, and my job is full of varieties. And then we're preparing again now for the FA Vase, and on top of that, I've got a business to run, which is a distribution company. And if there's anybody out there that's reliable, over the age of 25, that's like I say, no time wasters, there's a good opportunity, because I'm looking to expand on a couple of drivers, because my team needs. We've got more work, and obviously Christmas is coming. So if there's anybody, just get in touch, because there could be but you've got to be an immediate starter if you can. So
the Rewind Show offering jobs, whatever.
Well, there you go. You see, listen, you have to tap into every opportunity that you can get. You
do. I've got to, talking of internet, I know we, like you said, we've changed provider, but I want to give a big shout out, because I know he watches the show. Meatball actually got the cable. He paid off to the cable initially.
Hang on, whoa! Don't be giving him any credit.
Why he put it through?
Yeah, hang on. Let's get one thing straight here. Meatball, do not give him any credit. He came up and he appeared, and I said, "I'm glad you've come today, because you can give me a lift, because the internet cable we can put through the roof now. You're here to give me a lift."
Yeah.
Usually he runs a mile when you ask him to do some work. But on this occasion, he actually, well, he's used to it, didn't he? He didn't need a what you call them, a cat ladder. He must be used to jumping on roofs and stuff like that. So he jumped on the roof for me, and he placed the lead through. So don't be giving him any credit, because there is no credit to be given. That was me thinking about you, right? Instead of putting the end of it in a bottle that the wildlife up here take out the bottle, and it's looking, liable to get chewed on.
I must give him some credit, though. He did pay 50% towards the cable initially. Let's give him that. Let's give him that much.
Well, he can have credit for that, yeah.
Brilliant.
But certainly not. Listen, there's a sign on a stand over there that's been like that for a season, and when there's a strong wind, it kind of swings like that, backwards and forwards. And one of these days, it's going to be bending that much, and it'll split in the middle, and it'll fall off. Now, I've been asking him for every time I see him, Meatball, you need to give me a lift to put that back up there. Yeah, well, we need a block of wood so we can screw. Well, there's plenty of blocks of wood round here, so come on, let's get it done. And this is like another season in, and he still hasn't done it. So when he's done everything and he's asked to do, and he's does it prompto, then I will start giving him a pat on the back.
But the game on Tuesday night, that's what we're here for, the rewind. Lancashire Challenge Trophy. If people were expecting a good game, two good quality sides, they weren't disappointed, because it was end-to-end stuff, wasn't it, all evening?
It was an unbelievable game, and we got off to the worst possible start. I mean, less than, 40-something seconds.
Yeah.
45 seconds on the clock. So we were still obviously in the changing room at that point, and the disappointing thing was that, without going really into detail, but every player knows the roles and responsibilities when the opposition play a certain shape or formation, whatever. They all know what they've got to do, and in the opening seconds, not minutes, in the opening seconds, kind of one player obviously switched off. We're mentally switched on for momentarily, because, as you know, it was the left wing back that burst forward and just absolutely hit a stunning shot that had everybody beaten, thinking, wow, where did that one come from?
Yeah, speechless.
The disappointing part from a manager's point of view, where I'm coming from, is that, and straight away when it happened, and I named the player, and I went, you know your job. But listen, we're at the start of the game. This is where when every coach out there, every manager out there will be saying, you need to start the game brightly and be on it. You know, you can't afford to, like, you know, the game kicks off and with 40 something seconds you've switched off and you're not mentally tuned in, because that's what happens. So we were chasing the game from, you know, like I said, 45 seconds. But, you know, great credit to the team and the lads and everything. They pulled themselves together and they went on. And I thought they were absolutely, to a man, I thought every one of them was absolutely first class. Absolutely fantastic. And listen, you know, we've come a long way, as you know, but there's not often my phone the last few days, not only my phone, but the club phone of people who are kind of close to the club, spectators that have rang up and said, you know, they were different class. It was a great game to watch. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. And they haven't, the comments coming out was, I mean, one staunch who's been watching Bacup Borough for many, many, many years, long before I came to this club. He turned round and he said, that is the best collective Bacup performance I've seen for a long, long, long time. He said, I really, really enjoyed it. He said, you know, and that means a lot to us at the club when people are saying that, when we've given, even though we've gone out of the competition on a lottery with the penalties, but when we can take out from that, when people are coming on and saying things like that, it's like the postman. You know, normally he just shoves the mail under the door. This time he rang the bell and he didn't speak to me. I was busy on the phone, but he spoke to Deborah and I could hear the conversation. And he's saying, you know, I know Brent will be disappointed that they've gone out of the competition, but I hope he wasn't hard on the players because they were first class. Well, I wasn't hard on the players. I'd just give them a round of applause because at the end of the day, they were absolutely to a man. They were phenomenal. They won their battles. They played some great football. We created chances. We were unlucky not to take the chances. We defended well. You know, against a very, very good, strong side. I mean, listen, West Didsbury at top of the First Division South. They've got 29 points from 11 games.
Yeah.
You know, so they're no dummies. They're there, and you know, they're flying. So I can't give the lads much more praise than I am doing. You know, they were a different class, and what you've got to remember as well, because we've been it always happens, and that's what I say about people keeping their feet on the ground. Injuries are an occupational hazard, but also I harp on about people going away in football season. You know, and I don't like it. You know, for whatever reason, when people go away, I don't like it because, as we've seen on we don't know when these cup competitions come round. They're in the calendar. Well, we do because they're now in the calendar. But initially, you're not too sure when they're coming round. You know that the Challenge Cup kicks off in September, but you're not sure what weeks. But if you've picked to go away in the football season and it happens to land on around about the wrong time, and it's usually sod's law, you'll end up going away when it's an important part of your season or an important fixture in your season, and then what happens is, lo and behold, not only have you got players missing because of that situation, but it usually happens that you've either got suspensions as well around that time, and you've injuries. So it's not like losing an odd player, just losing an odd player. It can manufacture itself to be a few players, or for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to us going into the West Didsbury game. You know, we were nowhere near. Listen, I'm not going to say it at full strength because I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The lads who haven't been catching are every bit as good,
and proved it
as the lads that have been catching. You know, that's the beauty of trying to get your strength in depth. Now we're not fully there yet with our strength in depth. We're on our way, but we're not 100% there with every position. And it was a difficult one on going into Tuesday's game because literally with the 5 subs, that was it. That was basically it. You know, rest of them was out for whatever reason. They're either injured, suspended,
or away,
or away. So it proved a difficult one, and it's landed in at a time where we had an important cup match. Now, okay, we went out of it on penalties, but that brings me to another situation, you see, because probably if you think about out of the players that we're missing, 2 of them players would possibly have been on penalties.
Yeah.
Well, certainly one of them would have been, and one of them's had his success rate of penalties is 100%.
And you're probably talking about Ryan Siddle.
Ryan Siddle, yeah, exactly. And it's 100%. Now, he would have definitely been a penalty taker had he been on the pitch. We also had 2 penalty takers that were off the pitch.
Yeah.
Because Toby's come off injured.
Yeah.
And Michael Gervin got that red card for, what the referee deemed was a deliberate handball preventing a goal scoring opportunity. So, and they're two penalty takers. So basically, when we're going into the penalties, I'm kind of again, I've got to give absolute tremendous credit here because look, your penalty takers. I've just said there, Toby would normally be a penalty taker, be one of the first names down as a penalty taker. Michael Gervin would be one of the first names down as a penalty taker. If Ryan Siddall's in the team, he'd be definitely one of the first names. These are players that, in the main, although Michael has missed one, but the others haven't missed any. So in the main, they're almost 100% conversion rate.
Yeah.
So when you've lost them players, I'm not so sure, like with the players that were coming on that threw their name in the hat for the penalties. But you know what? Them penalties, apart from, we'll come on to Lewis in a short while, but 4 of the penalties from Danny Warren, Josh Wall, Alex Mellor and Callum Hewitt were absolutely quality. They were first class.
They were.
And you've got to give the lads, even Lewis, it were a bad night for him all round. But even Lewis, to stand up and take a penalty, pressure situation, not even at this level, it's not as much pressure, obviously, playing in front of 100,000, 70,000 people or the world football. It's not obviously not like that, but it's still a pressure situation and it's still important. And again, those lads stood up to the plate and had no hesitation and executed the penalties first class. Again, I with the exception, unfortunately, of Lewis. But we're not going to. It happens. It happens to the best. Like I spoke to Lewis at great length yesterday when he rang me. The lad's devastated a little bit about it. But he can't beat himself up.
No, not at all.
Marcus Rashford stepped up for England. Doesn't normally miss penalties, but he did. It happens.
I think,
the lads were brilliant with him in the changing rooms after. Absolutely fantastic. I've told you we've got a special bunch here. We really have. And the lads were brilliant. Disappointed they've gone out of a cup competition. Disappointed, but they knew they'd give everything for the cause on Tuesday night. Everything. And they stood by Lewis as well. Lewis was devastated, but it usually happens. That's how you win and lose football matches, don't you? Somebody has to miss a penalty.
But doesn't that not show the kind of person we've got in Lewis Byrne, in the fact that he's got that tremendous character to want to step up in the first place and take a penalty?
Oh, definitely, without doubt.
Yeah.
No hesitation. But, I think anybody, yourself, we know what we've got in, and this isn't just Lewis. I mean, we've got some special players here. But even though you've got special players, you can have a bad night at the office. It can happen.
Yeah.
And I feel that the way the game were going against West Didsbury, Lewis wasn't having, it just wasn't going for him. He wasn't having the best time in the game. Not because, I think because we conceded. Well, it's not because I think, because he did touch on this when we had a conversation yesterday. he felt that because we conceded so early, and he's like one of the lads up front got responsibility to score goals and obviously try and get football matches. His mentality was, I need to try that much harder now because we're a goal down. I've got to, and I think he were trying too hard.
Yeah,
and he's got to relax, and he's got to learn to relax. And I said to him yesterday, remember, it's not all about you, Lewis. It's about the team, and there are very, very good players, equally as good as you out there. So any one of them, you've just got to relax. It's not, the world's not on your shoulders to win us a game of football, and kind of, don't worry about if we go a goal down and think that it's all resting on you. It's not resting on you.
Yeah.
We just got to be patient. You just got to go into your games and, mentally just do the right things, and as often as you can. But unfortunately, whether he was trying too hard, but it just wasn't running. And things he was trying, we've seen it in the past. They come off. He's a talent.
Yeah.
But the other night, for one reason or another, they weren't coming off. It was just one of them. Look. There's several reasons why, and I said this to him. All the teams I've managed over years and the different teams, I've always said that as a team, we've sometimes not played as well in a midweek game as we have done on a Saturday. And individuals haven't been performing on a midweek game like they can do on a Saturday. Now, I put that down to, quite obvious, I put that down to the preparations are all different for a midweek game because they're dashing from work. You don't know. I mean,
the work commitment.
We're here in Bacup, but lads could work in Leeds, and they're dashing to get from Leeds to Bacup to the meeting time, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help matters. I know we've got to have discipline, but my head coach is a stickler, and rightly so. If they're late, he's there and he's clocking them in.
He stands on. He does. He stands on that gate. I'm not telling. I've seen him in action. He stands on that gate and he's got his stopwatch. And if you're 1 second past that, it's a fine.
Exactly. Well, it is. Yeah. I
don't know how many times Josh Wallen has been hammered.
And they've even taken me off the committee now, where I could have like vote, whether it's right to fine him or not, because I'd say, come on, we've got it. There has been an accident on motorway. So because I were like leading to players too much, no, I've been ousted now. I can't have a say in it now. So
you're too soft. That's what it is.
Well, yeah. So it is what it is. So, but what I'm saying is these players, they've had an hard day at the office. It's the same for both sides. I get that, but they've had an hard day at the office, and then what they're doing, they're dashing to get here on time, and probably there might be something. Oh, did I finish that before I left work? Did I do that? Oh, blinking out. So their mind's elsewhere at times.
Yeah,
and it can have a bearing on their performances at midweek games. Don't forget, we're not like the pro clubs where you play a midweek game and players are going to bed in the afternoon and getting a few hours kip, and then they're having a pre-match meal, and then obviously they're ready and focused, ready for the game. That's not happening. That's not happening, is it? At non-league level, it's just a case of you dash in, you turn up, and if you've had an hard day at the office, you get into like thinking 60 minutes, and you could be flagging and thinking, "Blanking heck, all I wanted is to get home from my bed."
Yeah,
So there's a lot of things can really affect a player's performance when they're working during the week. But in terms of Lewis, like I said, it just wasn't happening for him in the game. It just everything he tried, it just wasn't. He was getting more and more frustrated. At one point, he shouted to me at the bench, but we told him to clear his head. Because I think there was one he tried to pull a ball down right near the dugouts. Normally, pull it down no problem, but he didn't pull it down. He hit his leg and went out to play, and he was just so frustrated with everything. And he's basically saying, "Take me off." No, Lewis, don't calm down. You'll be all right. Just calm down. And it's a big learning curve for the kid. You know, he's come from a lot lesser football. He's not been coached, you know, like you would do in game management and what your roles and responsibilities are within team shape or anything like that. He's not had that. You know, he's, like we said, he's a raw diamond, and you know, it was just the way it was going. So when he was stepping up to take what happened to be the most crucial penalty, because it was the last one, I must admit, Way's game had gone. I thought
it was 50-50, wasn't it?
I thought the writing's on the wall here. It's probably not going to happen. And I think what really disappointed him more is, like he said to me, was he had it in his head what he was going to do, and for some reason, when he got there,
changed his mind.
It never executed like he wanted, and it ended up being weren't the best penalty. But again, I said to him, you know, in them situations when you're talking to a young lad and he's talking to you, you've got to try and give him as much confidence. And I just turned around and said, listen, as bad as it might have been to you and as bad as it might have seemed to us, at least you hit the target.
Yeah.
You hit the target. You can't do no more than hitting the target. I mean, I've seen penalties even at the highest level, and they've been in Rose head.
Yeah.
So come on, give the lad a bit of credit. You know, well, I'll give him a lot of credit because he stood up, he took a penalty. Unfortunately, the game ranging on his penalty, and on this occasion it failed. But you know what? Like I said to him, my final parting words were, come 5 o'clock on Saturday, you might score the winner for us that puts us in the next round of the FA Vase. Let's think of it that way.
Exactly. I want to talk about credit. You're talking about credit, and everyone deserves credit. But one player who certainly came to my attention on Tuesday night, you talk about strength in depth. And you know what I'm going to talk about? Alex Mellor. What a performance from that guy. He's waited on the sidelines for his chance. Very waited patiently. He got his chance on Tuesday night, and he hit the ground running.
Listen, again, me and Dave, when I say we, me and Dave, we've sometimes got to be cruel to be kind. And this was something else that I touched on with Lewis. Sometimes we've got to be cruel to be kind. Alex Mellor, we love Alex Mellor to bits.
Everyone does.
We love him to bits. The lad's, he's a diamond in every way. You know, he is a diamond. That's why he earned a contract at this club, football club. Now then, Alex Mellor has played in all, if you can go back to the COVID situation last year, Alex Mellor was a regular in the team, was probably one of the first, if not the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. COVID kicks in, so we have to have a break. Then we come back and play another couple of games. Alex Mellor is first name on the team sheet again, so he plays the games. Then we, if you think about it, what we did, we kind of had when a lot of teams started to play football. You know, what were it? Probably about April, May. We had friendlies, didn't we? We played friendlies, and in all those friendlies, Alex Mellor was starting and playing in them friendlies, training hard, playing hard in all them games. Again, you've got to remember he's only a young lad. And from those games, we then go into our pre-season programme. So he works hard in the pre-season programme, and he's played all them games, and then he starts the season with us again in the team, one of the first names on the team sheet. And then you see, when you know that a player in his performances has been up there and probably hinging on an 8 and a 9 performance every game.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he starts to drop to, say, 7 and 8.
Yeah.
He's kind of dropped a little bit. So we've got to ask the question, and this is where it involves Jimmy Petruzzi as well. We've got to ask the question, why is his performance levels just slightly dropped? He's not where he has been. And this will happen to every player. It's not just but you've asked me the question about Alex.
Yeah.
So his performance levels dropped a little bit to the point that, and it just so coincidental that it went inside with the signing of Lewis. So to make a decision, we either do we take him out and just like give him a bit, because listen, I said every week I say this same thing on this show. Games come thick and fast in this league, and we will play consistently right the way through up to May. You know, so it's a long slog. Yeah, and no player can sustain levels of performances every week in every game like that. I go back again. Alex has played in a lot of games and been the first name on the team sheet, but his performance levels kind of just dipped a little bit. And we as a management team have to think, do we keep him in and let him get through, ride through, and come back again to where he is? But you know as well as I know, when that sometimes happens, that, you know, you've got a situation, the confidence can really go because it's just not happening for him for whatever reason. So sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. You sit him out for a few games, just give him a breather and just bring him on as a substitute and just keep the minutes up and just do it that way. Now, we don't do things like where we turn around and say, we don't explain anything to a player. We'd sign Lewis, and we felt that, look, let's give this kid a chance. And to give this kid a chance, let's just give Alex a break for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And see if we can recharge his batteries. So we pulled Alex. I can't remember which game we were due to play, but we pulled him before the game. And we both had a chat with him. And he's such an honest lad that he admitted that he felt his performances weren't where they should have been. So it weren't anything new to him. Obviously, like any player, he's disappointed that he's going to go to the bench and not start the games. That, you know, that goes without saying. We understand that. But we did it for the right reasons. That's what we did for 100% for the right reasons. Did we think that his break out of the first team would be so long, if you will?
Yeah, I didn't.
No, we didn't. But that's credit to Lewis, because what Lewis did is hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So good that he put us in kind of a difficult position then, where we really couldn't leave Lewis out to get Alex back in.
No, because he struck up a partnership straight away with Toby, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was difficult. So it was, and even Alex, because like I said, he's an honest lad. He could see this as well, and what can you do? And then he went on as a substitute. He didn't help his court, because he probably would have started the game after we played Steeton. The game after we played Steeton, I think Kyle Siddall had a suspension. I could be wrong here, but I'm sure if you look back, Kyle Siddall was suspended for the next game after the Steeton game.
Yes.
He was, because I left him out of the Steeton game. He wasn't suspended that game, but I left him out because I didn't like the fact that he got sent off because of his mouth to the linesman. Yeah, at Pilkington.
Yeah.
So what happened were, Alex went on as a substitute in that game against Steeton, and if you remember, he tried something on the halfway line that didn't come off, and it led to Steeton scoring.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
So it cost us a goal.
Yeah. And his confidence shot to pieces off that. It kind of jolted him back a little bit. So, but we don't, you know, you haven't got to worry about these things, but it jolted him back a little bit. So
it ended up where he's had to sit out a little bit longer than we would have anticipated. But do you know what? He came and he said to me before the game on Tuesday, and he went, "I'll give it everything tonight, Brent."
Boy,
he said, "I haven't been well today, but I'm going to give it everything." Well, if that's giving it everything when he hasn't been well, yeah. I've got to say, well, you know, what's he going to be like when he's over whatever were wrong with him during that day? Because Alex Mellor, again, we got him back to where Alex Mellor was before. And again, that has come from a bit of both, us taking him out.
And from him.
The competition for places, seeing the lads, the lad that's come in doing really well. And he's had to sit there and see this, and he's still continued to work at his game, and then he's got his and then obviously he came in on Tuesday night, and he just absolutely tore strips off.
It was wonderful to see him back, because you know he's not been great, as you say, over the last couple of probably 2 months or so. But to see Alex Mellor doing what Alex Mellor does on Tuesday, it was great for me and Knights, who were up on the commentary on the scaffolding, because you just want the lad to do well.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, listen, I say all the time, you know, if you haven't got the replacements when a player goes through that situation that Alex had gone through and did, you're not in you'd end up playing him every game, and then what would happen is, when he plays every game, you know what fans are like? They start getting fickle, and they'll start saying, "Oh, that Mellor this and that Mellor." We know, but we had the luxury of being able to take him out to recharge him, to get him back to where we know he can be.
Yeah.
And we're in that situation. I mean, some clubs, a club that's playing in the Evo Prem, not far from us, I know the manager very, very well, and he just rotates his squad every week. He don't keep a settled side. He just rotates his squad, because he's a little bit, like I've said, he's got excellent players in probably more every position, and he just rotates them, and he just keeps them all fresh and just rotates, and the opposition never know who's going to be playing. They can watch him one game, and it's a total different side the next game.
Yeah,
you know, some managers do that. You know, we don't do that as such. But if a player as is going through not just firing and again, it can be for loads of different reasons, lots of different reasons. They can just lose a bit of that little bit of sharpness, that little bit of form. And if we've got an able replacement to be able to just it's not being dropped, it's freshening things up, and just letting them take them out, just resting them a little bit, and bringing them back in. And that's what we've done with Alex, and we've rested him, and you know, probably rested him a bit longer than what we would have anticipated. But that's credit to Lewis, because Lewis has done so well that it's prolonged it a little bit longer for Alex. But you know, the fact that Kyle Siddall wasn't available on Tuesday night opened the door, and what we said, and we've said it before, and we said it all the way through. Listen, it doesn't matter what reason it is. If you've been given the shirt, it's up to you to hand that shirt back.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you hand it back. Now,
I'm hoping that
it doesn't matter that you've been injured, and you've missed games because of injury, or you've missed games because you're not available. Now, if you're lucky, and the timing of it, so if let's say you've been suspended, and the player that's took your place has done really, really well, so you think in your own mind, looks like I'm on bench on Saturday because he's been doing well and I'm coming back from suspended. That might not be the case, because there might be another situation where what he doesn't know about, the player in question doesn't know about, that another player might not be available for that Saturday, so it might
get him
in the back door.
Yeah, you're moving your chess pieces around a little bit.
Correct. So all I'm saying here, and I'm not going to show my hand or anything because I haven't taken stock, but you know, if Carl happens to be watching this program, I don't want him getting in his head thinking, you know, it looks like I might as well go to Old Trafford. They're playing Aston Villa on Saturday.
I might as well have another few sambucas and a few.
Yeah, exactly. Because that don't mean to say just because Alex Mellor's done really well that there might not be an opportunity for a player to get in one of the other positions. It just depends. It just depends on the circumstances, and the circumstances we us currently changes by the week.
It does,
because you won't believe the amount of players I think somebody highlighted it. You know, I've seen something that one of our fans highlighted it. We've used a lot of players this season, and every player has stepped up to the plate, and that's the way it is. I mean, look who we're missing the other night. You know, you Gareth Wade, you were out injured. The two Siddles were away. Ross Mellington, I know he was on the bench, but he's injured. We had to put him on the bench because to cover the centre half positions. Because if there was an issue, even though he's injured, that would
have been a last resort for you, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we took a risk with Toby. We knew Toby. I went out and got, you know, the strappings and everything to try and protect Toby, and we got like 3/4 of a game out of him. Yeah. You know, and he did his best, but unfortunately he broke down. This is what was the situation what we're in at the minute. You know, and we don't know whether Toby. I mean, he's going to see. You know what we've got here. We've got Jack, who's an excellent young lad, great young lad, knows his stuff. Passed out at college for sport, you know, for his for sport therapy and sport injuries. But unfortunately, Bacup Borough are not in the same league as Accrington Stanley, Manchester United, Burnley, or anything like that when it comes to the physio department in terms of equipment. And we're lucky that we can tap into a really good, experienced physio in Ian Liversidge, who's
fantastic
Accrington Stanley's physio currently. But Ian goes back. He's been Burnley physio. He's been Tranmere Rovers physio. He's been Fleetwood's physio. You know, he's Bolton Wanderers physio. You know, he goes back a long time, and he's you know, he's vastly experienced guy. Yeah. And we're lucky that we can. But he's also got the equipment that if a player needs the rehab equipment, that, you know, he's got access to it. So Toby I think Toby's going to see him tonight, and we'll see what he diagnoses, and let's see where we go with Toby, whether he'll be fit for Saturday or he'll not. He's got to be. I've got to say he's probably extremely doubtful as it stands. But yeah, that's where we're at. But listen, am I fazed by that? No, because we've got good lads. We haven't got them in every position like I'd like it, but we're getting there. And the other problem is when you want competition for places, you get some lads that they don't want the competition. They want to be first choice every game, and you know, if they're not first choice, they don't want to be sat on. Well, we don't really want that kind of person at this club, because you're not going to get success with them people.
I've been down that road before.
We've been down that road before. There's got to be competition, and you know, people, like we said, they're a bit selfish players sometimes, because when they are available, they want to be in, but they don't think about the team and the club when they're deciding to take a jolly somewhere. Yeah. You know, they don't think about the club then, do they? They're not bothered about, you know, win or lose or draw, or whether we go out the cup or whether we drop 3 points. They're just bothered about, well, I'm not bothered, I'm away that week, and that's it.
Blinkers,
you know, but when they come back, they're expecting to be back in. Well, it don't work that way. I'm sorry.
Not when you've got the players. But I want to talk about another player, because I had a list of players, and one of the players that I wrote down the other night, and he's had a great season, is your goalkeeper, Harry Turner. Another excellent display. Yeah. Well, it's been a good season for him.
I'm telling you now. I mean, we can't look. It's all if, buts, or maybes. You know, I'll backtrack a couple of seasons. I'm going to backtrack. we'd had a good cup run, and we were drawn. And we had a two-legged semi-final. I think it was semi-final. We had a two-leg semi-final coming up against our friends over in Oldham Avro.
Yeah.
And we had Harry Turner leading up to this. We had Harry Turner in goal, but Harry Turner is an ambitious young goalkeeper. Wants to try and achieve his into the Football League. He wants to become a Football League goalkeeper. You know, he's worked tirelessly hard to try and achieve that situation. But you know as well as I know, and you know, we can't get away from this. Rightly or wrongly or indifferently, these Football League clubs, they're looking for they're looking for 6'2", 3, stature of a goalkeeper, and unfortunately, Harry's short in a few inches. To be a Football League goalkeeper. Whether I agree with that, whether I agree with it, whether I don't, it's just, it is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but that seems to be the preference. And unfortunately, it hasn't kind of worked out for him where his pathway were taking him. So he decided partway through this season that we got to this semi-final that he'd go abroad and try and I tried to talk him off it. Whether you agree or not, I don't agree with these people going abroad and trying to find a career path abroad, because I think they go off the radar. I think they need, even if they're the best person I can say, a prime example I can use in this situation when I'm trying to talk about is Carlo Nash.
Yeah, you mentioned him
Carlo Nash was 18, unknown goalkeeper, right? I gave him his first contract. He wasn't even my first choice goalkeeper at 18 at Rosendale United, because I had big Barry Siddall, who got 700 Football League games under his belt.
Yeah, a bit of competition there, weren't there?
but you look at the pathway of Carlo Nash. He stayed. He stayed at clubs. He played in the Northwest Counties League for Rosendale. For me, at Rosendale United, he played at Clitheroe in the Northwest Counties League at Clitheroe, and he eventually gets a move to Crystal Palace, and then his career takes off. Yeah. He didn't go abroad. He stayed where he was, and I firmly believe that if you want to achieve your goal the best you can, I think you need to be here on the radar. Yeah. Going abroad, I disagree with, because I think you go off the radar.
Well, it depends where you're going. But if you're going to, like you said, I know that he went off to Sweden in the end. The standard of football is probably similar to Northwest Counties.
Well, yeah, but you go off the radar. In fact, from my opinion, you just go off the radar. You're forgotten. You're easily forgotten. You're out there. Now he went, and it kind of created a bit of a void for us, because we had to put in. We had nobody who were a bit. And I remember that we put in. We had a 17, 18-year-old goalkeeper that looked the part. 6 foot. He was like, of good stature, and he probably has the makings of being an extremely very, very good goalkeeper. And we had to put we ended up putting him in. I remember here at Bacup we Avro, and in the first he made a mistake, and everybody, which is, listen, when you're a young keeper, you're going to make mistakes, and that's crucial. That's why everybody kind of wants experience in that area.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if they're ambitious clubs. But this kid, he kind of he threw the ball. He was trying to take the ball in at his near post, and he kind of turned away. But as he turned away from the player coming in, running in at him to go meet his shoulder, he's thrown the ball and he's thrown it in net.
Yeah.
So it was a mistake. So we're kind of losing the game. We go into the second leg at Avro, and we know what we have to do. And we just needed an early goal. And if we got an early goal, we knew we were right back in the tie. We knew we'd be right back in it. And, lo and behold, we got an early goal. We were on it. And we were winning the game right up to half-time. And just before half-time, again, another bad mistake, decision-making, where the kids, the player were going nowhere. He's like, he's running away. He's running to the byline. He's running away from the goal. So the keeper in question were chasing him down, right, to chaperone him to let him go out to play. But instead of just letting the ball run out to play, he try to tackle him on the byline. And obviously he gave so then from tackling him, he gave a penalty away and they scored from the penalty. And then they went on to win the game handsomely. And they went on, I'm nearly certain, I'm sure Paul Armstrong will be correcting me if I'm wrong here, but I think they went on then to win the cup. Yeah. But we were absolutely devastated because we felt it were our year then, is what I'm saying. And I'm not holding this against Harry. I'm just saying that I'm convinced that situation, those situations would never have happened with Harry in goal, right? And unfortunately, we lost Harry because he decided to go to pastures new at a critical time for us in a season. He's come back, and since he's come back, when he came back, thankfully I used my contacts at Salford City, and I managed to get him in at Salford City, getting full-time goalkeeping training with Carlo Nash.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
So he was in there full-time. And that were bringing him on no end.
Yeah.
And then he made another bad decision in my eyes because he still was chasing his dream, and he kind of went again, didn't he? He kind of went again. And then he's come back. But this time, I think it's, as the song goes, this time I think it's for real. he's kind of.
I like
that. He's kind of knuckled down and realised, and you know, he just complements the team. He's a young lad. We are full of young players. They all get on together. There's no egos. And he's been quality. Now, when you talk about a goalkeeper and you talk about a goalkeeper being quality, you think that the goalkeeper's just absolutely keeping you in the game. He's pulled absolutely fantastic saves off all over the place. That's not been the case because that's not happened. Harry's not had to make fantastic saves. What he's done and done well, we're assured and helped us tremendously, is that his concentration levels.
That's it.
His concentration levels are absolutely phenomenal. He's watching. He sees it. He's watching every. You can have crowded goal mouths. You can have everything. He's there, and they're getting their half a yard and shooting through crowded areas, and he always seems to be behind the ball.
The eye on the ball.
Exactly, 100%. So he's got all the bases covered. All the bases, and then. Yeah, when he's needed, when there has been times when he's been needed to be making them full length saves and tipping over the bar, he's there. He's doing it.
Ability to do it.
But he's got all his bases right around him, and he's so. And the good thing is as well for Harry. Forget about no disrespect to Salford or Carlo Nash. He's got one of the best. My head coach, that's what he is. He's an international goalkeeper. And he's a goalkeeping coach. So he's got that all the time here with Dave Felgate.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win situation, isn't it?
Exactly. So Dave's with him all the time and, advising him, and, you not get better tips anywhere, and he's working with Dave, and it's just great to have him here, and it's great to have him at back of the lads, and the lads know that they've got that security of having a 100% concentrated quality keeper.
Yeah. Want to move on just very quickly to Saturday. We're not going to go too much into it, but Saturday, a big game for the club, Brian Boys Stadium, FA Vase, second round fixture against Wythenshawe Town. That should be a cracking game because they're another club very similar to West Didsbury, who were a flying eye this season in the Prem.
Listen, I touched on it the other day. Wythenshawe, COVID has really stopped. Listen, I'm not. This isn't having a dig at anybody or anything, because it's not meant to be having a dig. I'm just being straight and honest in terms of they're a club that's come into the North West Counties League. They showed some ambition. you know, from the whatever league they were in previously. They've got into the North West Counties League, and they're showing a lot of ambition now. When you're a club that's got ambition, you've got to have the finances behind you, right? And obviously they're in a good catchment area down in Wythenshawe. They're in a great catchment area, and they're trying to do things right, you know, and they've got you know, the finances behind them, and by having the finances behind them, they've been able to attract the better quality caliber of player that'll help them to achieve what they want to achieve, and they you know, they want to get up, you know, and establish themselves in the National League system.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what they've done. But what's happened is along the way, since they've got this investment, is that COVID has really kind of, like it has done with everybody, has hit them and hit them hard, and it gets to a situation where, you know, when you've got an investors and they're in your club, and then you get disrupted in through no fault of your own, through the COVID, but yet the investors have spent the money. You know, how long can that situation go on for, is what I'm trying to say, before they go, well, blinking heck, you know, we've just been scuppered. Now, thankfully, what happened were at end of beginning of this season, with the reorganisation, they've managed to get a leg up, right, because of the reorganisation.
Yeah.
Right. Look, I was disappointed in the way that they've not Wythenshawe, but the way that the FA have executed it, because it was done on a points per game ratio on a null and void season, and I didn't agree with that. But in terms of Wythenshawe, right, it's helped them, and rightly so. You know, it's helped them because it's given them a leg up where they want to be, because of this, and straight away that's probably appeased their investors, because you know what I mean. They're progressing now. They've been given a leg up to do it, but they're progressing, and they're up there at the top. You know, it's not. You know, they're there, the third in the Premier League, so they've gone up and you know, and they're more than holding their own. They're not holding their own. They're the third. They're challenging for the top of the Premier League. So the world's their oyster at the minute.
It is.
You know, they could easily win that Premier League without a shadow of a doubt, with the caliber of player that they've got at their football club. The third at the minute, they've got 18 points from 10 games. So they could win that, and I'm sure their investors will want to. You know, it's all about promotion and going up and seeing how far they can go up. So maybe, and I'm being a bit cynical here, maybe that they don't really want to run in the Vase because it'll scupper them. It'll hold them back.
That's what you're hoping.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just being a bit cynical, but no, listen, they'll be coming here all guns blazing, because at the end of the day, it's a lucrative competition. Can be financially lucrative, but as we all do know, the FA Vase can be, if you're an ambitious club that want promotion, as my trusted late, God rest his soul, friend Gary Lowe used to tell me, which it scuppered Kers and Ashton when he was the manager of Kers and Ashton.
Yeah,
they'd had a good run in the FA Vase, and it affected their promotion aspirations. Eventually they did it, but the Vase scuppered them. So it can be an hindrance in some ways. But listen, there'll be some excellent players on show here on Saturday. And I'm not just talking about Wythenshawe.
No, ours as well.
Ours as well. And believe you me, it'll be a game. There'll be a game, because we've got good lads. They won't lie down. They won't take things easy. You know, and they know what they're up against. And I kind of think that these lads, as they proved against West Didsbury, the harder the team, they seem more determined they are, and it brings the best out of them. And I'm sure that they're not going to let our faithful down, me down, Dave down, or anything of themselves down. They will be at it, you know. And let's hope that you know, we get the breaks that we deserve, and we can progress.
Definitely. Just one more thing I want to chat. We chatted about it off air before the start of the show. New signing coming to the club, and no stranger to the club. Do you want to tell us a little bit more?
Well, listen. A couple of weeks back, I was approached that Anthony Hall kind of wanted to come back, and I'll be honest, I'll be straight because that's how I am. And I kind of said, Anthony Hall, I wasn't happy how he left the club the last time, because it was 2 weeks before the start of the season when he sent me a text and said, I'm off to pastures new. I've decided, because he was ambitious, he wanted to play in Premier League, and I felt the timing was not right. So I kind of was a bit disappointed with that, especially when I had 3 meetings with Anthony and his father about signing a contract when I was putting most of the lads on contract. I didn't see this coming. So, and then he kind of went where he went, and then he ended up at Avro, and I got tipped off by Avro that said, look, they were going to make this were a while ago. They were going to make Anthony available. Were I interested? And I turned around and I said, to be honest, I'm not. I feel I've got a better kind of caliber of player at the minute than, I'm not really interested, because I was probably still hurting a little bit from how he left previously.
Yeah. And
I said, no, I'm not interested. So I kind of turned Avro down with the opportunity of offering me the player. And then he must have been talking to one of my players, and I basically said the same to one of my players, and then he got in touch with me and asked if he could. He kind of not got it. He didn't get in touch with me really about 100% coming to Bacup. He wanted to ask me advice on a couple of things, and so kind of I spoke to him about that, and then he asked if he could come training with us, and I kind of said to him, look, I'm happy for you to come training with us, but I'm not happy for you to come training with us while you're still linked with a football club, because it sends the wrong messages. And as we all know, you've got to put 7. And while we're on the subject of this 7-day notice, and I noticed that you put something on, you've got to put 7 day and approach the club. Those people who are sending stupid remarks in from Whitworth Valley about they never got 7 days. If you don't know the rules, when it comes to an end of a football season, every player in every club, if they're non-contract, are free agents, and that's when we approach the Whitworth Valley players, not during the season. So we'll leave that one on that one.
Yeah.
So they need to get the fact right. But going back to Anthony Hall, the simple fact is that I felt that I didn't want him training here when he's kind of linked with a club. So and I also looked at the situation that our squad, we want competition in every place. So when I spoke to Anthony about the way we were going, what we were about, and everything, I just felt that if his mindset was right, he could be a great addition for us.
Yeah, good asset.
A good asset to because it's a long season and we need this strength in depth if we want to try and achieve something. So consequently, I put the 7 days into Prestwich and dipped my toe in the water and asked if they consider, releasing him, transferring him before the 7 days. And thankfully and gratefully and well done to Prestwich, they did it admirably. They kind of released him and transferred him to us. So yeah, so he's now a fully fledged member, and we're pleased to have him on. Listen, my thoughts weren't with Anthony previous, because he was nothing to do with our football club. But now he is something to do with our football club. He'll be treated like everybody else. He'll come into the reckoning, and he's quite happy to knuckle down, and he knows he's got to fight for his place, and that's all we're asking for, and that's exactly what we expect of him. But we know that we've got another quality player in our ranks.
Excellent stuff. Another great show. As I say, Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Get yourself to the Brian Boyd Stadium. FA Vase. Pay on the gate, £6 adults, £3 for OAPs and under 18s, and under 5s get in for free. And if you can't make the game, then it will be available live on the Bacup Borough YouTube channel. Myself and Andrew Knights will be bringing you a live match coverage from 2:45 onwards. Always a pleasure, Brent. Have a good day.
Take care.